Okay. All right. Welcome. Hey, we're here. Welcome. Hey. Thanks for your patience, everybody. We're getting everything a little bit ready here. So, we're back with another episode of
Oh my God.
What's Going On Here, dude? Dunga, thanks for watching. Thanks for the sub. We are excited to talk about episode 96 through 100 at this point. Just absolutely insane. We have just a couple quick announcements before we introduce our guests for the evening. We're about $50 away from our Patreon goal. $50 a month away for our Patreon goal. You can hit exclamation point Patreon in the chat if you'd like a link out there. We also have it's not really a promotion, but it's a new item in our merch store. If you head on over to basicallygoodpodcast.com/shop, we do have pint glasses of the Wizwiser pint glasses are up and running. Actually, yes, they're in the chat. We have some, oh my gosh, the sweatshirt. So here is it was limited edition, limited run. These are not available anymore, but we do have the pint glasses with this logo on it. You can grab those on basicallygoodpodcast.com/shop. That is all the announcements we have. Let's go ahead and dive in. We have a lovely guest. We were slotted to have two guests this evening, but unfortunately one of them had to go take care of some emergency. There was an emergency that happened. They need to go take care of it. So we are joined this evening by none other than patron Lisa. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us. How are you this evening?
I'm good. I'm really happy
big
to
applause.
be here.
Big applause. Okay, that's not the right one. Woo, yay. Big applause. Yay! Lisa.
Hello.
Yes, how are you this evening? Sorry.
I'm great. No, you're good. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. We're happy to be. I'm happy to be here celebrating 100 episodes. Lisa, we talked before we got on, so I hope you've had time to think about the youth group question that we ask all new attendees. What is your favorite ice cream, Miss Lisa?
I mean, I'm still panicking as someone who's like very severely lactose intolerant.
Yeah. For
like
sure.
so severe. It's for sure, like real life. Honestly, this is very specific. There's this brand called So, and they do dairy-free ice cream, and they have a mint chocolate chip one. And I know mint chocolate chip is a controversial flavor, but that stuff's really good, and you can't tell me otherwise. It's good stuff.
I love
And I
mint
don't
chocolate
die,
chip.
so it's really nice.
Yeah.
Right.
I think back when we first did this and I had to answer this question, I said something boring like double vanilla or something, or like Rocky Road. But I want to make an amendment that I have been getting mint chocolate chip ice cream from Trader Joe's. So I am now in the camp with Lisa that mint chocolate chip is superior.
Yay!
I do like mint chocolate chip myself. It's my dad's favorite.
Now, okay. I think we've talked about this.
Oatmeal mint chocolate chip's good too.
Oh, yeah. I need to know, are we... I don't know if they taste any different. I need maybe a second opinion. But the green-colored mint chocolate chip or the, like, white ice cream mint chocolate chip?
It's got to be green.
Does it have to be
All the
green?
way.
It's got to be green.
No,
green.
see, I'm-
no.
I'm with Lisa. I like
Okay.
white.
No, we
I
are
like
doing
the-
mint
I like-
chocolate chip.
Is this it? I don't like the green, like, dyed. But like, vegan ice cream isn't usually dyed, you know?
Right.
They're like, oh, we're El Natural. So,
Right.
I like the El Natural mint chocolate chip.
Right. That's what I'm thinking, too. I was like, I mean,
Green or go
obviously, this ice cream does not come out of the cow green. So,
No, it
unless-
does not. Hopefully not. It comes
But-
out of the almonds green. How's that?
Pistachio ice cream. I don't
Pistachio.
know. That actually
go.
probably does come out green.
That's Princess Pistachio ice cream is the next Delta.
Oh man, be ready for the ice cream, the
Espresso
release of the ice cream
Yeah.
in the store. Well, we're super happy to have you here again. Thank you so much for making some time out of your busy week to be with us. Let's go ahead and dive in. Lisa, when submitting her questions to us today, said just had a really good opening question And I wanted to start with that for the crew here. Lisa, if you'd like to ask your opener for us, we'll dive right in to not just episode 96, but just kind of a good overall, basically good question.
Yeah, so I was more wondering, how do you let go of what you want the story to be, or how you want it to go, versus where the roles take it or where the players take it, especially for Chance being a DM? Like, how do you just let go of the expectations of what you want from the story and just let it go where it needs to go?
Man, that's tough. I wish I would have requested some of these questions beforehand. But I think it for me personally, I think it's more difficult. In theater, when I was doing that in high school, I was very much like not an improv guy. Like I did so much better if I could have the script in my hand, go home and just read it that way, and I knew the ins and the outs, and then I could improv like within the script, right? Like when I know the scenes and stuff. But the idea of like not having control of where it goes, and like also trusting the other actor on stage to like make it go in a way that was good, that stresses me out. But I think, are you saying just in general, or are you saying in the context of these 4 episodes?
Probably just more in general, but also, I mean, like in these, I mean, for me at least, listening to these 4 different episodes, like especially with like, you know, the marble tree and things like that, where I was like, wow, this could have gone very differently, and it's like, how do you just let it go? Yeah.
I think I have developed the built-in trust with my fellow actors and players, and I think no matter what, I think that fear is gone. I guess that fear that I was talking about before is doesn't really live in this group of guys. Just because even if Aaron gets walloped by the tree, and I didn't really want that to happen, I know Jackson's gonna play that well, right? And I know he'll recover from it. And it's also nice that there are 5 of us. So if one person is kind of struggling with, oh shoot, what do? I don't know. Like, I wasn't expecting this. Like, you've got some support. Like, there's enough people to like jump in and RP for a moment or whatever. But no, I would say it's difficult. If it seems like it works out all the time, that's just luck. And I think the skill of these guys, yeah.
Yeah, and Silas, for you as a player too, like how do you, I mean, like there are like, you know, for Frizz, like there's bombs you want to throw and there's things you want to use, and sometimes you use those things and they do nothing, and that was really disappointing, or, you know, things like that. I know.
Tell me about it.
I was like, that is a sore subject here.
Yeah, but how do you let that go? How do you be like, damn, I totally could have done this here, and it's like, I'm not going to have the chance because something else happened, you know? How do you just be like, okay?
Yeah, I try and like for Frizzigig at least make, this is kind of, I guess, where like the work beforehand paid off. I know the places that I want him, as far as like story wise to go or grow into, and if the so I can just kind of wait for the right opportunity for things to go a certain way or to say a certain thing to make sure that happens. So I just kind of try and like go with the moment until I see the opportunity to like, oh, this would be a great opportunity for him to say this thing that he is probably feeling, because I want him to be able to say that so someone else can say, that's stupid, don't do that. And then Frizzy can go, oh, maybe that is stupid, and he can grow a little bit. And so yeah, I just try and keep like I know every kind of chapter I'll sit back and think about what has like where Frizzgig has grown, and where I want him to end up, maybe like by the end of the next chapter.
Right.
And I just kind of try and wait for the opportunities to mention those things or to talk about those things to come as they do. And if they don't, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, so I guess I just kind of sit and wait my turn. I don't ultimately, and then just try and keep everything very, as far as like what I actually want to do, just like more general and more. I try to not get so like I want to do this thing specifically. I try to avoid that thought as much as I can, and just say like, in 10 episodes, it would be great if Frizzigig felt better about his friends. And then rather than like by the end of this episode, like I need him to have a moment with Clary, or like I need him to have this victory because of this, and yeah. So I guess more I just give myself plenty of time to do the big things like I want to hit, and so with like sure like an opportunity for anything will happen every 10 episodes.
Right.
Right. And then yeah, just like in the like moment to moment, I just stay in it as much as I can and just try to have fun and not worry too much.
I will say one moment that sticks out to me of something that I didn't go the way I thought it did was when I was expecting there to be kind of this conundrum puzzle of you guys trying to figure out how to get down from the cliff face. The big cliff that the door was up on.
Classic.
And
that was amazing.
I'm wondering if I need to retroact the overpoweredness of the bag of holding trick. So,
but it works every time.
Yeah.
That was like the first time I ever DM'd a one shot, which is really the first time I ever like really DM'd. I had this big puzzle and I was really excited about it, and I was playing with this one guy who's one of our friends who's incredibly intelligent, and I didn't really think about it. And he figured it out in like 10 minutes, and I was like, man, guess that was easy. I don't know. And then and then I did the same one shot with like another group later on, and then they spent like they were just like, I want to figure it out, it's so hard. I was like, okay, no, it was a hard puzzle.
It was hard.
Just that one guy.
Right. That's so funny. Well, at least you get some validation.
The worst when you have a puzzle and somebody,
you know, you get some validation out of like, you know, it's solvable, right? Like there is a way to solve this. And then the flip side of like, okay, it is hard enough to where people actually have to like work through it. Like it's not going to be this dead giveaway. So I feel pretty good about that, honestly.
I played a game with Jackson, and the game opened up with this like word puzzle, and I can't remember. It was one of those things where it's two words, but they use the same amount of characters to just rearrange in a different order. And
ambigram? Is that what that one is?
What? Maybe.
Ambigram? Is that an ambigram?
Oh, I think ambigram is like it's the same letters but backwards.
Oh wait, no, you're right. It's oh shoot.
But anyways, the puzzle it's like they're like, okay, try to have them solve it, but if they can't figure it out, you can just let them anagram. You can just have them roll an intelligence check, you know, and they just solve it or whatever. And so I'm like, okay, they're going to work on this for 10 minutes, 15, and then I'll let them have it. And I do it. And the word was lucre, like Lucre, like lucrative, like money and gold, lucre. And Jackson like looks at it, he's like, lucre? Like his first guess, like the first guess they gave. And I was just so mad. I was like,
what?
That's so frustrating.
How?
Yeah.
That is very funny.
Players will
I mean,
always surprise you.
As someone who's dyslexic, I understand that though, because you just look at a word and you're like, I see the actual word and I know I shouldn't. It works in our favor sometimes.
There you go. Well, very good question. Obviously, like that's just awesome. It's been that is tabletop RPGs in a nutshell, right? Like just letting dice decide. So really fun, and we've had, you know, these next 4 or 5 episodes have been pretty combat heavy, and there have been some just like nutsy rolls. So it's very fun to get into, you know, and especially now with Critmas going on. You know, Critmas being just an absolute blast to have max damage done. A cool little house rule by chance. But let's dive in to these most recent episodes, starting in episode 96. This is Have a Great Summer. If you guys went to high school in America, most of you will know that is just hags. We used to write hags in yearbooks. So we run into a group of hags in this demi-plane that is filled with Desna iconography in this episode. Silas, let's kick it off with a question for you. Frizz has kind of taken on this mantle as a healer outside of Aaron. You're kind of doing a lot of healing. You're running over. Let's not ignore Cat Cam. We have a cat dipping in and out of background. We got Cat Cam here. We love it. That is Dipper.
Yeah, that's right.
Wonderful. So he's kind of taken on this role as the healer outside of Aaron. I want to know, what is this kind of doing to the psyche of Frizzigig? Is this something that you feel happy to kind of aid the party with, as kind of need to drop the damage and go run and heal? Or is this more of something that he's kind of growing tired of saving lives because the tanks keep killing themselves?
No, I think he's like more, I know a big thing with him with the last kind of downtime session we had, and especially after how everything was going, was Frizzigig was feeling the need to kind of, along with his like need to grow up and change and grow. I mean, we talk about that all the time with Frizzigig. He also like, I need to, as a group, he was kind of like, we need to be more serious about this, blah, blah, blah. And then so he also kind of took that to heart himself and was like, I need to like change, I can't keep doing the same thing I've always done and expect better results. And so it's kind of like in the downtime we talked about his like whole training and like getting better at throwing stuff, hence taking like the dual weapon warrior with the thrower thing, and I think this kind of fits in the same box as that. Recognizing that like he can add on some bits of damage here and there, he can do some stuff like that, but I think just as him landing an acid flask is that survives a couple rounds, doing persistent damage, is just as good as him making sure Kalere survives another round, or making sure Urkel survives another round. Yeah, so like every time he stops and like heals someone, he's kind of doing the same, if not more, than throwing some stuff himself.
Right. So staying in the wheelhouse.
That fits very cleanly in with his like shift in strategy as like a member of the team and as kind of just an individual, in finding his new way in life.
Yeah.
I'm excited for, I mean, if you decide to, but if you get that feat that allows you to heal by throwing the potions, like,
oh my
hitting
gosh,
the people, that just opens up your battlefield. You know, like, you don't have to be next to people.
Yeah.
You don't have to spend the action economy like pulling it out, and you know, I don't know. I think it takes a little bit of that hindrance of playing support off of you.
Yeah. You know what? Something else I realized too is that it would work with the quick bomber feat, which allows me to throw, which allows you to like grab and throw in the same action.
Wow.
So I would also like, it makes a lot of sense, but feats are getting expensive. Like the higher level you get, the feats you take are so much more important. And there's like stuff I want to take, there's like things I want to build into, and it is getting like increasingly harder to find the space on my character sheet to do all of the things I want to do.
Right. Well, you just multi-class, kind of. You went to that archetype, the dual weapon guy. So and I think that was a good move. But yeah, definitely it narrowed your alchemy feats. So
yeah. No, I agree very much, because I would love to do the flincing slice thing that Ronnie has. I can also take that. And add like bleed and flat-footed on top of any time I hit with both bombs, which is pretty crazy. And that fits like with my action economy and the way it is most turns. It fits in really cleanly with that. So I would love to take that, but then also like once like I only have a few more opportunities. Really, only have like 4 or 5 more feats that I can take before Frizzigig is done. And so every time I take something like that, it's like I'm giving up an opportunity to do something else instead.
It's like you're building out a MOBA character, like League of Legends or Dota. Like as you're building those items, you're narrowing your options,
Right,
and then you're
as
full
you
build,
go.
you know?
Right.
So,
Right. Or you could be a rogue and just get feats every time you go to a new room.
Or that one, yeah.
That's a whole other story. Chance.
I say, Zach, do you
go
really
ahead, yeah.
want to bring up the rogue stuff right now?
No.
Like, I feel like this is not the place to do it.
Hey, everybody go join the Discord if you haven't done so already. It's a
And join the Claire
blast.
Temple where you're safe and not dealing with this.
Join the rogues. We're accepting new applicants. No. Good time
Join
though.
the clerics. You don't have to.
Shameless
have an
plug.
application.
Go join either the clerics or rogues. How about that? For now.
I'll deal with that. Okay.
Chance, we wrapped this episode in episode 96 with this Bone Devil once again trying to strike a bargain with Kalere for protection.
right.
I just want to know the setup for this encounter. Tell us what your thoughts were going into this with Kalere.
Yeah.
Did you think that she was going to do what did you think she was going to do?
I would say I was like 30% she's going to hold on to her pride and just say like screw you, you know?
Right.
And then I would say I was 70% that she would take it, but I expected her to honor it. I expected her to say, "Okay, I made this deal. I made the deal with this devil, and I'm going to like pay him what he's due, and we're gonna move on."
Right.
I did not expect you guys to turn when you're already beaten and bloodied and try to fight it. You know, and to me, it seemed smarter just to, I mean, it was like 300 gold, right? But
Right.
well, no, then it was the
Yeah,
chest
and then there's
and
your price just went up, which is
Yeah.
a very cool line.
But no, I expected her to kind of honor it, so I was surprised when she like you guys turned on me and attacked the devil. But it was good. Again, like expectations, like I'm always ready for you guys to turn on me. So
Right. Right. Well, we're moving in. I mean, again, this is a very combat heavy couple of episodes here. Moving into episode 97, entitled appropriately Mr. Bones. Our adventurers find themselves between death and a bone devil. So we really kind of get started. That's where the episode hangs. At the end of episode 96 is this, kind of question about what's going to happen. Silas, the creatures that the party is fighting. This is just kind of a general question for Frizzigig. The creatures the party are fighting become more and more fantastical as this story has been progressing. How is Frizz coping with kind of the I wrote the washing tides, but I don't know if that's like a good descriptor. With kind of these fantastical creatures, these bone devils that are kind of coming to strike a deal with the party. How is Frizz dealing with kind of just the fantastical creatures that kind of appear? What's that doing to him?
I think honestly, like extremely easy. Like it's like not like a big. I think it's like really not a big deal for him, because one, I mean, he kind of like is in that category a little bit, and
right.
And like he's not as normal. Like I mean, yeah, I mean you think about like any other version of this type of game, like goblins aren't normally playable,
right.
So he's like definitely kind of sees himself maybe a little bit more on the fringes of normal society anyway. Frizzigig is also very well educated. Thank you very much.
I'm not arguing.
Assume that he doesn't know what's up. Frizzigig has read his stuff. He knows what's out there, and he also had like, I think alchemy is a very scientific approach to magical things,
right?
In a very like physical, realistic approach to the weirder world. And so I think when he sees things that are unknown to him or completely new like that, it is less surprising. I think like he like very much is like, yeah, anything could exist in the world, anything.
Right.
And because he sees himself as like, I mean, he has the power to make things. And so I think it just makes sense to him that there are lots of things that are unexplainable.
Right.
And so when I think he sees somebody create, maybe sometimes like will be surprised for a moment, but
Right.
like after the fact, it's not upsetting to him.
Right. Right.
At all.
Yeah. I think when I was writing the question, I think I was like, man, this has got to just be Rocky and Urkel's world because like. Because of it's like, oh, we have the Goblin Blood Wars, so he's familiar with hobgoblins and kind of like that type of enemy. But like in terms of like bone devils and hags and demiplanes, like that's all new, right? Like that's just crazy. Like he has no business kind of being here. He's been working in a bank for the past 20 years or whatever. So I just didn't know if that was like if it was similar, and I think that makes perfect sense for Frizzygig to just be like. Not really shaken because of the amount of time he spent reading books. And for the elves, you know, I don't really see that being an issue either. Aaron's very well read. Kaleri grew up in the Mwangi. So like, it's very, you know, I think out of pocket, I wasn't sure if that was going to be similar to Frizz or not, but I think that makes perfect sense. Yeah. So we find ourselves oh, go ahead. Yeah. Fire away.
I was going to say, I definitely like Urkel and Frizz haven't encountered these types of fantastical like beings in their lives,
right,
you know?
Right.
But I would say the difference is that Frizz has researched and read and heard of all of these things, where Urkel has led a pretty much like human focused life,
pretty mundane life. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be kind of the difference.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, I mean, yeah, we're just, I mean, these episodes are so combat focused. Lisa, you have a question as well, kind of about these kind of runs of episodes. If you'd like to ask away.
No, saying well.
Oh, I think her audio has switched back to what it was before during the test.
Oh no.
That's totally fine. Let me know when you're ready to speak again.
How's that? Is that better?
Perfect.
Yes.
Yay. Sounds great.
Can you hear us?
Oh, now you're muted again.
Oh, she's muted. She might have self-muted.
Right. Well, I mean, this is applicable, so we'll move on to the next question that she can ask. Oh, unless Lest.
Maybe.
Go ahead.
Yes.
There it is.
I hear you.
Okay, yay.
Yay.
I'm so sorry about that.
No. Totally fine.
Well, anyways, how do you guys feel about fighting? No, that's the question. But yeah, I mean, you guys, you know, there's been previous to these episodes, you know, there's been a lot of like journeying and a lot of like really sincere, intimate character development. But then, you know, then there's Mr. Bones, and then there's a tree that tries to kill you. And, you know, with these episodes, it's like, how's it feel? You know, you're, especially with like Chance too, now you're like, hey, like, here are these like additional rules that or not rules, but like house rules and things like that. Like, how's it feel?
Is that directed to Silas and Zach?
Oh, I think it works for all of us.
Any of you, yeah.
I'm gonna answer. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead, Silas. I think you kick it off, and then I'll go.
Okay. I think every time something like that happens, I think Frizzygig still in the back of his head has that doubt, kind of about what is happening and what they're doing, and just kind of like are we wasting our time? Like, you know, like, yeah, we're gonna go find this thing, but there are these freaking hags here and a bone. Like, it's like, why are we doing this? Like, this isn't important, and you know, and so I think anytime something is detracting from the main goal, I think he gets probably a little pessimistic internally about what's going on, just because like he still doesn't really feel cut out for this. I think he feels kind of drug at this point, maybe like a little drug along, And it's like, well, I guess this is what I am now, and I'm gonna help these people, but I think he's doing it to help his friends more than he's like doing it because he thinks he is the best suited person to fix the impending doom upon Valerian.
Is that
and-
self-doubt, you think? Is there like surefire signs of real self-doubt there, or is
Yeah.
is it more apathy of like,
Or
I
even
just
like,
don't know if I'm
like
making much of an
bitterness
impact.
too.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah,
good
or
point.
like a little bit of bitterness to like his role in the party now, maybe. I don't know.
Not that one. I don't think he
Okay.
feels bitter about like the role he's fallen into. I think it is like some self-doubt, and also like his like the whole reason he started on this and he had this like plan, and now that's all gone straight down the toilet. And and like he hasn't really, for the first time in his life, he doesn't really have like an end goal. He doesn't have a thing that, you know, and so he's helping some other people on their end goal, but it's not really his. And I think that's kind of why he feels the pressure to like more kind of like say like, let's like get this done, and like let's like we should like, why are we wasting time fighting these hags and stuff, and like we need to just go, like we need to get out of here, we need to move on to the next thing. So yeah, any like little roadblock, I think he would feel that way about, just because like it's that he's already like not on the fence, but like a little kind of like I don't really know if this is for me or not yet. About everything he's doing in general, and so every time there's a roadblock, it feels like just a complete waste of his time. Like it's just like or we're wasting our time. Like we need to fix this fast. We need to get to the next thing as fast as we can.
I think narratively, and this is like a different kind of direction, or different kind of direction of an answer. Narratively, I think that it's challenging because there is so much randomness on the road to like the characters hitting their goals.
Right.
And I, listening to Silas, was thinking about kind of like how I try to tackle that, and I think I have to kind of look at it as a Doctor Who season or another kind of like serial show, whereas yes, all of these like encounters seem random in like episode or like 2 or 3 episode chunks,
Right.
but as long as either one, we can develop characters within those that affect the end goal or affect the journey, or 2, I can somehow narratively write in, you know, something from the main, either something from the 4 backstories, place that in the random encounters, or something from the main plot. Like I feel like I'm doing a little bit of, you know, fixing. The hag situation's a little bit different, just because really there's no tie there. But yeah, I try to make, for example, the Mwangi, right? Like there were just some encounters that were just really random. Like, the Temple of Shimye Magala or whatever. That's just
so
like a
good, man.
random encounter, but like I kind of chose to put like Growl there.
Right.
And then also I put in the old little chamber that held Eclipse. Like that wasn't like written.
Oh,
like that
cool.
wasn't like a part of the AP. So like I added that to give that random tile some meaning or some purpose.
That is
right?
so cool. I did
So-
not know that. That is
Yeah, I didn't know
huge
that either.
back.
I didn't know if you guys knew that or not.
No,
That is awesome.
Well, and I think like
Surprise!
it's the Silas the player like something like the hags in that encounter, because it was just kind of like cool world building, because you were like, yeah, you would like, you know, I think maybe like Jackson or somebody did a check or something, and it's like, well, yeah, Aaron would know that hags can do this like interdimensional travel thing, and so they just stumbled upon. So it's just kind of like the writers of the AP were like, well, we've got this little pocket dimension. Like, how do we give it more, like, more than just a chamber? It's like, oh, well, we created this creature that actually jumps around and, like, looks for little pockets in the multiverse that they can hide in. And this is exactly the kind of place they would do that. And they're also the exact kind of people who would defile it.
Right.
And
Oh,
so
that's-
it's like cool, like, oh, I learned something about the way this world works just through this encounter. And like it kind of, and it makes the world feel bigger than just what like your story is.
Yeah.
But like when you're doing it for a podcast and we're not trying to tell the story, like we're trying to tell our story.
Right.
Right.
It like it can be kind of those things can clash sometimes, I think, a little bit.
Well, also with you know, the tie to Treacle specifically, like the necklace, I thought that was really, really cool. How, you know, after all this, I mean, it's, as a listener at least, it's easy to get, you know, caught up in, you know, the combat and the roles and all of you guys like saying like weird things. I know that Jerf wanted to hear some clapping in here. So
oh my gosh! It sneaks
I didn't
it
forget.
in.
You know, I had to do it. But
A little bit of clapping.
like, especially like after, you know, this combat and then having that like like almost sullen moment with Frizz, you know, being asked about, you know, Treacle's necklace and his connection to the place. You like, as a listener, you get pulled back in. It's like, oh my gosh, like this is something so much bigger. In addition to, hey, this place is freaking insane, and also has been completely trashed by these hags. So I thought Chansey did a really good job with like bringing it back after such an insane 2 episodes of combat in that space.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. And I also know, coming from a guy who literally DMs once a month, that's me, your boy. I can only imagine how hard it is to constantly have to be story weaving for a pre-written AP, right? Because at the end of the day, we're playing Age of Ashes, and anyone out there can go pick up a copy of Age of Ashes and play. And it's the writers at Paizo do a fantastic job of pre-writing stories and they have to find a way to make a game for people who are like at the bare minimum, like completely uncreative on their own front. So people that don't write a backstory, random adventurers just going into this adventure by themselves. So how do you tailor a story in a world that you've built to fit a narrative that literally we at the Basically Good podcast have designed? You know, this is very difficult. I think we've talked about this before. Urkel, me, Zach, I'm jazzed to be back in combat. There's a question, Lisa, that you wrote that I think is a good tie-in to this post my answer. But this is the first time Urkel's been back in combat since the retrieval arc. You know, we all have new armor. We all have a few of us have respect and taken new weapons. Silas, Frizzigig has respect, and it feels good to be back fighting evil. And I think there's something that's even said. I think I even say like, "Oh, it's so good to be back." I think that's next episode. But I kind of hinted at it here too, like. A holy temple of a good god defiled. Very easy, kill the bad guys. Like, it's just nice to be back fighting evil, you know? Even if it doesn't, and I completely agree with Silas, you know, in episodic chunks, it's hard. I feel like if we were playing a home game, we'd be at this for 6 hours, and we could get through this demi-plane in 3 and move on to the next chunk. But when it's a few episodes, you know, we have to kind of hold interest and maintain RP through the whole bit. But it's been a super good time to fight the hags and to also get absolutely blasted by the hags. There were some pretty close calls, you know, in this combat where they were hitting super hard and there was almost some broken armor, and that's a huge deal. You know, we're not even there yet. We're not even at our destination yet, and we're almost dead. So I like it. I feel like my character is built to be semi-repetitive with what I do, whether that be demoralize, flank, stabby. But it's very fun to see kind of the respecs play out in this kind of combat, you know, because it's the first time we really get to see it.
Well, and I think respecking is healthy. We've talked off air about respecking, and I just think your characters are so different than what they were, like just purely like mentally, like like emotionally, your characters are different than when they first started out. And two, in real life, it's been 2 years of playing the same character,
Right.
and there's been like 10 new Paizo books, like Pathfinder 2e books, and there's like new things to try and new. I don't know. I just think like it's healthy and just fun to see the characters evolve from like the original track. Like Frizz was
Right.
essentially to be like bomb, 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 and Urkel was essentially like a diplomat, you
Right.
know, and
Yeah.
and now
Mhm.
they're very
High
they're very different than
charisma.
that.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
100%. We have I'm getting swept up in this, and we're gonna be we're rushing now. I don't want to rush.
Let's rush.
Chance, moving into the last question surrounding episode 97. I'm interested to know. I feel like you got pretty excited when discussing the amenities. You know, we finished out beating the hags in this episode, and then we move into kind of a back room where we learn about the cauldron and what this place can actually do. These rooms can actually do. What does a home base? What does a home castle or like a home demiplane do for a party in this kind of game? I remember early on you being very excited about Citadel Alteran and now the Breach. You know, and what do these kind of amenities do for a party in a TTRPG? Maybe even just in Age of Ashes.
Yeah, I in my past 2 campaigns that I've ran, from beginning to end, the parties never had a home base. And one primarily took place all in one city, so they did have familiar faces and people and utilities, but every chapter was kind of its own adventure and kind of moved them around. And the first campaign, they had a hometown, but they very rarely went back there, only when forced to with the plot. And so when I first was reading Age of Ashes, I loved the idea of the Citadel Alteran, the Breach, being just like the nucleus, right, of the adventure, and going through these different doors as it's very much like a Super Mario 64, you know?
Right.
It's like
Right.
walking through the paintings into these different worlds and stuff.
Yeah.
But specifically to answer your question, that the room that you guys have unlocked, this chamber of Desna, this temple, I love the writers for doing it, because I haven't had an AP do this like this specifically, but the having gentle repose in the room is crazy. Just like no body will decay, which is very important for resurrection.
Right.
Giving you the ritual of resurrection, which is a ritual now, not a spell. So you no longer need a spellcaster to do it. Anyone can spend the gold value in diamonds to bring back another player. That's huge. And also just, you know, this one's more for flavor or fun, but a cauldron that just makes food for like 12 people. Oh, and then the restful like sleeping thing is also like
Right.
flavor, but also
Mhm.
like, you know, you can sleep really fast. It like quadruples the time of sleeping, of resting. So I don't know. I just, the person who did it, I was like, this is awesome, and I wanted to make sure you guys knew the value of this space, because for the rest of the adventure, if you guys ever do need a place to like hide or like recover, like you could, you know, teleport to the cliff, go back through the door, and you guys have a safe place to recuperate. And I think
Right.
that's important, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that about wraps up episode 97. Before we move into episode 98, man, for some reason I can't get these numbers out. It's just been
You
struggle.
good,
It's been a
Zach?
struggle for me to say
okay?
that. I'm like 100. No, we're gonna do meme of the week. This is a new meme of the month. Sorry, this is a new segment that was actually given to us by I want to say this was a like Patreon poll response that we're doing. So if you're not on our Discord, jump in there now. We have a show memes channel where people can submit their show memes, either through about Banger and Gang or about Basically Good as a whole, or the actual Basically Good podcast show. And we pulled a few actually pulled all of them today that were submitted within the last month. And there's a link in the chat. Thank you, Chronicler, for posting that. You can join the Discord through that hyperlink right there. But we voted on the memes that were presented this last month. There's some very funny ones. And we just selected the winner based off votes. The winner, we'll start with the winner, and then we have a few honorable mentions because they were just too dang funny not to include. But there needs to be context for the actual winner. I believe this was in a pre-pod that we discussed Arby's vodka. And if not, this was solely on the Discord, which is just hilarious in and of itself. Arby's had released French fry flavored vodka. And I was very excited. I wanted to get some. I logged onto the site as soon as it dropped, and it did not. It was sold out already. Like, it immediately got sold out. It did not get any. And then there was some discussion about us doing like a live review of the, or like a YouTube video and making like a goofy thumbnail, like making fun of YouTube thumbnails. And our patron hero Carsonus went ahead and dropped. We're gonna transition over. They went ahead and dropped this. Wow, I'm still on the screen. I'm just behind the actual meme. I didn't think about that. Whoops. But this meme
wrote in meme of the week.
It is now meme. Yeah, he submitted this fake thumbnail from our YouTube channel that just says Arby's did what with their, what does that even say? Did what with their fries? And they just put a bunch of like frizz emotes and like the frizz like chef's kiss emoji and Urkel Pog emoji, and then just a clip.
Red arrows.
Yeah, the red arrows pointing and circling things, like just hilarious, like very, very funny snapshot. So congratulations, Carsonus. You win stickers. We'll mail some stickers out to you. Very, very funny. And then the honorable mentions. The Urkel emote is hilarious. The honorable mentions are Frizzy Gig's constant complaint about not having fire damage work. So there's like Gravity Falls meme by Jay Barry of him looking at the Dipper, looking at the Alchemist Fire, just this is worthless. And then the actual Jace, I believe, Jace Thornton gave us this meme to the right here of Kalari facing the Bone Devil. And saying, as Claire was down, being like, I call an ambulance, but not for me, as she just stands up and slaughters. So, very good submissions. Again, we're going to go ahead and send Carsonus some stickers. We're going to reset the timer for next month's meme of the week. So, be sure to submit your memes on our Discord, and we will be voting on those. But super fun week of memes. I feel like I spent way too much time explaining each of those, but I love them all. They were very funny.
It's like when you've got a really funny joke, but you gotta explain it.
Exactly, which is so bad. It's me showing my mom or my grandma memes, like, hey, so this is a really popular meme right now.
It's very funny because in the episode this thing happened.
Exactly. Well, also a lot of and I'll do this next time. I realized this after I already made the screens, but a lot of the captions were actually just words that the submitters typed. So I'll make sure to include those next time for context's sake. But thank you all for your participation. It's very funny. Good times all around. Good laughs all around. We were just roaring. Revisiting those today. So we're gonna move into episodes. People thanking me in chat for explaining. I swear. Sorry. Episode 98, Dreaming Tree. We've talked a little bit about this already, but we move into the final room of this demi-plane. The party goes through and continues to cleanse the temple, and we're met with this gigantic hazard. A tree. A stone marble tree. Silas, after I don't even have any questions surrounding the tree. That's how much of a just like disaster it was for us to find out how to solve this tree. Huge props to Ronnie for figuring out the puzzle, though.
Yeah.
But Silas, after we deal with this tree, after we get through the actual hazard, I was re-listening and heard Frizzy Gig pull out the keystone to get through the final gate and actually go into the new area. And Frizzy Gig says he's going to go through first. That struck me. Does Frizzy Gig fear what's on the other side of this gate? And what does that do? What do you think? How does he feel leading the party through the gate? If that makes sense.
I think part of it ties back into what I was saying earlier about like Frizzy Gig like feels the pressure to not like to keep moving forward and with this as much as possible so they can fix everything but then also just like everything being tied to Desna and him still having questions about his sister, and if there was something on the other side of the gate that was important to him, he wanted to make sure he saw it first.
Right. That's a good answer.
And so it was like a not really, just like really not knowing what was going to be on the other side and feeling kind of weird about the whole place in general. I think, he just like it was important to him to lead the way through that gate for a lot of reasons, but mostly because of the connection to his sister, I think.
Right. No, 100%. I think that's a great answer. We kind of come through this gate. It was really fun to kind of have a change of scenery. Chance, I think we are all getting very excited about like ocean sounds, right? It's just like, where are we? Like, we're just so excited to see kind of this new area, and moving into this new episode of Blood on the Sand. We wrap kind of episode 98, finding this, getting down the wall, like you said, with the cheese trick of jumping into the bag of holding, but running into this group of slavers kind of bearing the mark of the Scarlet Triad. And the entire party kind of just gets in position, and the responses from the leader of this bunch, like, boss is gonna love to have pretty much more bodies, right? And we kind of in the episode just say like, oh, no need for discussion here, like we're just gonna fight, like there's no diplomacy, we're just gonna go into it. But I have a question for Chance. As we kind of open up this door into fighting Scarlet Triad thugs, how does it feel to no longer have to have this ominous marking of the Scarlet Triad being kind of like hidden on crates in the jungle, and now just dealing straight up with like representatives of the Triad? How does it feel to like thrust this group of slavers on us, bearing this mark, and having to kind of RP those baddies?
Yeah. I would say RP wise, they're not super deep, right?
Right.
They're just kind of cronies. They're all just kind of, caricature. Just, I would imagine just like shitty people. It would be the only ones wanting to go into the slavery business.
Right.
But no, I guess you could say I've been waiting for this moment. It's been fun to kind of like guess and like who's really the ones behind it, like who's really pulling the strings, and I'm able to reveal that a little bit through cold opens. But I think now is the time for the party to see that, like, I don't know, it's pretty intimidating that the Scarlet Triad has its hands in a lot of different places,
right,
all over Galarian. And but I would say just because these guys, these grunts and thugs doing the dirty work, I wouldn't get too comfortable just seeing these guys out in the open. I would say the elites are just as secretive as Vera was in the year, so
yeah.
Yeah, I would, but yes, I'm very excited that you guys, we just reached that point in the quest that we're kind of putting aside the backstory, personal things, but moving the main plot.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, great answer. And, there's a great comment in chat by Deo Dunga. It's a quote from Urkel. I'm 99% sure this is a straight, direct quote of him saying, "We love slaves versus townsfolk. It's very easy to know who the bad ones are." And, it's like, Urkel's been, it's been weird times for Urkel RP. Because I think it's all real. Like, it sounds like it's kind of, goofy and whatnot, but I can definitely see him feeling like, man, it just feels good to beat up on some baddies, And Lisa, you have a question kind of about this, if you'd like to ask away.
Yeah, well, first, it wasn't in the podcast episode, but as I was re-listening and thinking about the pre-pods, Ronnie in one pre-pod, I don't remember what it is, but his comment, and I remember it clear as day, was like, "Yeah, dude, slavery's always been bad." And then it automatically jumped back up to when I was re-listening to the episodes preparing to this. But my question is, this is just baby me. I don't know if you guys feel this, but I'm worried about Urkel's mental health and his time. Anyone else worried? Because he seems very okay with just the loss of life in certain situations. I don't know if anyone else is. I don't know. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the one thing that points to that is how you guys finished off the last slaver on the beach, and I think
absolutely.
I think it was Kaleri that pulled the trigger on that dude, but I do think that Urkel was the one to be like, the guy said something along the lines like, "They'll kill me for spilling those beans, or they'll kill me for telling you that." And he's like, "Well, so will we,"
Right.
And I just don't see that being the Urkel that walked into Breach Hill,
right,
like 4 or 5 months ago, So
yeah,
I also see a little bit of, by the end of the Mwangi, I think Urkel had taken this more as he got more comfortable adventuring, also kind of got more aggressive and came out of the shell a little bit more, and that was kind of part of it. I feel I think that could be some of it, but I don't think that's all of it.
Yeah,
it's also, I think it's, I haven't been able to go back and listen to everything, and I'm not gonna lie, I have used Silas for a Spark Notes, but I dropped in a year ago now, a little over a year ago, but I think it's really interesting also hearing the way that Kaleri and Urkel, and how you two, the difference, especially after this time in the dungeon, Kaleri is this chaotic, self-sacrificing kind of person, and then seeing Urkel after leaving this horrific, torturous dungeon situation where you did not know if you would survive and everything else that happened there, seeing him come out of it, it's just Kaleri, of course, we're worried about her because she's constantly throwing herself at the brink of death, but with Urkel, that very intentional understanding of just everything he went through, and it's very much has that fuck it mentality, honestly, where it's just it doesn't matter anymore. Also, my parents are dead. If we want to bring that, all these different things are definitely, for me as a listener, building up and seeing the way you interacted, or the way Urkel interacted with the slave trader. It was just we knew this was going to affect him, but, this is, affecting the way he's interacting with other people. So that's where the question comes from, yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I feel like I was just talking, Chance, I think we were just talking about this a little bit today, too. The demoralized action has been our best friend, for bringing down dread ampules. It's just lowering those. It's kind of a, it's very much a,
fear is so good.
Lowering AC, right? We're doing it on purpose. It's good for, stats and getting Kaleri more hits and me more hits and crits and all that stuff. But every time he does it, it's always you're gonna fucking rot in hell, and then he rolls, it's very it's very dark, and I think a lot of it's intentional. I think there's a reason that he's kind of calling upon fear and like instilling fear. But I think there's a huge point to talk about to where he has not, and it was mentioned back in the retrieval arc, like he's not dealing with it, you know, like he's not dealing with it. He hasn't talked about it. He hasn't maybe even like cried about it. You know, it's just been this very like no, we're gonna shove it down. You know, do the like I'm not gonna deal with it now, but it's gonna seep out anyway. And you know, we kind of made arguments to, well, these are slavers, well, these are bad guys, these are, you know, it doesn't really matter, but it doesn't look good. You know, it doesn't look good, and it's probably not a good thing if these weren't slavers. If there is a moral gray area, you know, would he do the same thing? And if so, it's not always good, you know? So I think it's good to be concerned. I think it's good. I think it's good that I hope the party is concerned. You know, I hope there's something where it's not just like, yeah, we'll just keep stomping on heads until he's like something bad happens, you know? I think it's good as a listener. I super appreciate that question as a listener to be aware, right? To be aware, like this is rough. Like this isn't and like Chance said, this isn't the same Urkel that walked into Breach Hill, you know?
I think the one challenge with doing a story in D&D versus, you know, another medium is that there is so much killing. There is so much death.
Right.
And I mean that sounds funny, but really, like, you know, and I, other than like John Wick or other, you know, like things where like a Tarantino film where things it's just how many, you know, stunt doubles can we, you know, kill with like guns and swords and stuff. I think that the way the whole game is designed is you have these characters in the beginning, and then throughout all the books you have hundreds and hundreds of monsters and villains that they're going to fight and inevitably kill and conquer, right?
Right.
It's like the death toll is just so high, and it's like I don't think I don't know, I think it's hard to do a D&D campaign where there's not a trail of bodies that the party leaves behind, no matter how good or chaotic, neutral, or evil they are, right? Like it's no matter what, there is gonna be a trail of bodies. But to me, I think the storytelling, I think we as an audience and as players have to accept that a little bit. Like we have to like, you know, accept that as how it's just gonna be, because that's the game we're playing, the medium. But I think it's not how many people did they kill, it's how did they kill them.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a big, especially with like the way like this last interaction went. I mean, like, you know, it's not to like excuse an action of killing someone outside of anything, but like in this world, you know. And I also, since you brought up Tarantino, which I just have to put out there, I hate Tarantino. That's just, everyone knows this about me. But I always think about Kill Bill, and that started with the death. And the amount of dead bodies that followed her, and how like her mental state gradually deteriorated more and more and more and more in order this like revenge story. Since you said that, like that, you know, very much in that comparison where it's like, it's not, like you said, it's not about how many people they kill, how they kill them, and the way that Urkel interacted. I think the main question is like how many gold pieces does it cost for like a therapy session?
Right.
In this world, that's the real question for Urkel.
Now I will say, and this is frustrating because I know people like this, and I think it's totally up his alley. Like I see him as like I don't know if I don't go to therapy. You know, like one of those guys that's just like kind of stuck in it and is like, well, I don't know if I. You know, but I will say I think he's inquisitive about, you know, it'd be interesting to know. I think if somebody approached him, or if he would ask people close to him for advice, right? Like, hey, you know, I think I need to talk. He's been doing that with Kaleri a lot throughout the campaign. It's not outside of his character, you know, to be like, hey, are we doing the right thing? You know, Frizz, I think, is probably the best. I would say humanitarian, or maybe that's even the wrong word, but like he's a good moral compass for the bunch, you know? And so I think having a conversation with him would be good too, you know? Like there's definitely people that no matter what has happened in the campaign, you know, Urkel Retrieval Arc is an example for Frizzygig of kind of looking at the mess and being like, what are we doing? You know? So I think there's plenty of hope, you know, but I definitely think that there's the mental damage, you know, like you brought up, Lisa, the mental weight has not been resolved with Urkel by any means. And I think it's a good thing to watch.
I'll be watching if that helps.
Watching.
I'm just gonna like take notes, and
That's
then
right.
eventually when Urkel goes to therapy,
And
I'll pull
listen.
up my like checklist.
Yeah, right, 100%. Okay, great question, great discussion. Lastly, you know, there's this. We're finally at episode 100. And this is Trouble at Cypress Point. After, like Chance, you brought up, we axe this small group. This guy gets put down. We meet Lepin, and he takes us to town, where we end the episode kind of setting up this ambush.
Go Lependisk.
Go Lependisk! Really fun, really fun setup for this encounter. We get to meet One-Eyed Amnon. Silas, meeting One-Eyed Amnon for the first time is kind of a bit of a shock as we're thrown into this very brutal combat with him. Dude's got like a spiked bat, and he keeps trying to step on people, kick people. What's going through Frizzygig's head? You're in a very unique spot in the middle of this episode where there's people trying to clap everyone in irons. There's this brutal beating happening with One-Eyed Amnon, and Kalere is surrounded by many baddies. How did you triage? How does Frizzygig kind of triage what he's going to do first with these slavers?
Yeah, he triaged it the same way I triaged it, which was panic. I wish I had more of an answer, but honestly, I was like, what the hell do I do?
Right.
The whole time, it was like, there are 3 fires blazing around me.
100%.
At one point, because I know, yeah, like at one point, like Aaron got the stuff slapped on him. I think he got knocked down, and then you kept getting the boot from One-Eyed Amnon, and Kalere was fighting all of the animals by herself,
right?
For whatever reason, and Frizzygig was just kind of like in the middle, and it was just like every time it was my turn, it was like, all right, pick which of your friends you're gonna help not die, and which ones you're gonna let find for themselves. Yeah, man. Heck if I know. I don't know. I just was like, I guess I'm gonna help you this turn. Okay, good luck, because I'm not helping you next turn.
Right. I think that's great. I really do. I think Frizz being, I wouldn't even say it's like calculated reacting. You know, like every time it's his
that makes me
kind of
turn
to go, you are either you know, getting Guppy to jump out and help and heal, or you know, a couple of stuns and then running over here. But I think it's a shame that our listeners don't really get to see the map, because I think positioning is huge, especially in this encounter, because it was very apparent that like Urkel was off to the right getting stepped on, Kalere was up north, Aaron was right next to Frizz, but his hands were bound, so like it was and then you were just in the middle, you know. So I thought it was a super unique kind of situation to be in, and you know, it goes, you know. I mean, it goes how it goes, and no one dies this episode. That's great.
Pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Chance, you are the conductor of this madness. At the height of this fight, I believe, if I'm counting right, it's either 6 or 7 NPCs that you're controlling on the map. How do you strategize encounters like this?
I don't know. I think I secretly love big encounters. Like I love the rooftop encounter, the finale, the Urkel retrieval arc. Like I live with those because I love an ensemble cast of adventurers and then also like villains.
Yeah.
So, man, do they wear me out, and man, do they last forever. And so, no, I don't know. I guess I should do more prep. I think that's what any advice I would give is just always do more prep. There's always things that you forget. And yeah, I would say like initiative order and everything like that. Try to do that as much as you can before. But as far as like playing the combat, I would say it is just kind of intuitive, right? Like you just like I try to get behind like any kind of monster like the boar and like the wyverns and stuff like that.
So
Like,
cool.
Yeah, very
The
cool.
boar was so cool.
yeah. And I do have to give credit. Like the people who write these adventures, they do. I have noticed in second edition written adventures, each encounter has like a special part to it, right? Like I loved One-Eyed Amnon's like baseball bat ability where he can just knock people down.
Knocking people down, dude.
And then like kicking them when they're down. Like that's just a very fun combo. So I will give credit to like the encounter builders that they do a really good job of making each encounter spicy, you know. But man, yeah, it is definitely a circus, and I would say the number one thing I dread is playing a friendly NPC fighting a villain NPC because I'm just playing solitaire. I'm just like I'm just rolling one number and then just subtract. I would say I always complained about like I love Renale. I don't want to play another character for like 30 episodes
For
again
forever.
and then I find myself doing stuff like that. So.
Right. Well, I think it's amazing, you know. We always have a blast, right? I think it's pretty safe to say, like, and especially since this was like, you know, the doors open or the wyverns like fly in, you know, like halfway through the combat. So it's like you're just adding bodies every round. That's fun for me. I always get really excited. I'm like, oh, more meat, you know, like more baddies. It's just very fun. But this episode.
This is why I worry about Urkel's mental health right here. You're
well,
more people to beat up.
Exactly, and that line between Urkel and me is thin, right? Like it's like it's a game to me, but maybe it's a game to Urkel too. I don't know. Maybe he's just crazy. But
or maybe Urkel's finally getting to be the adventurer he always wanted to be.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
all
like,
I'm saying,
I'll take out all the bad guys. It's not like, oh, thank goodness there are more bad guys. It's like, yeah, I'll fight all the bad guys. Fuck them. Yeah,
I'll kill all of them.
Urkel,
Yeah.
have you ever heard of hero duels? You can do that from the safety of the
That's
tavern.
true. Video game. I think.
What
though,
is this hero duels you speak of? Oh, well, Hero Duels is the hot new game. Let me
that
tell
takes
you
us into
about
our
it.
ad for the evening.
The
Hero duels.
Hero Duels.
I will say, you know, I think that. Yeah, I think that's probably true to some degree, right? Like the adventuring life for him is been really good. As much as it was kind of a ruse initially, I think he's really enjoyed being back in kind of the soldier position, adventuring position. But this is episode 100. Lisa, I think you have one more question to wrap us up, and I just think it's a good one. So we'll end on that one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, first of all, congratulations. 100 episodes. It's huge. And
100 episodes.
2 years of playing and everything. Like, this is, successful Patreon. You guys are killing it, obviously. But I forgot. You're doing a really great job and doing really fantastic storytelling. But that being said, you know, it's a story, like we said earlier, you don't have control over the story sometimes, but you do have that general idea and, you know, the guidelines. Did you expect your characters and or the story to be where it is now? You know, so much has happened. I would love to say I will be able to catch up, but as I said before this, I listen to like 120 hours of podcasts every week. But like, you know, this is hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of hours.
Right.
Like, did you think you were gonna be here?
No.
No.
I would say I could never have predicted like where the story is. Are you saying the story, or are you saying the podcast as a whole? Do you ever expect
Everything. 100 episodes is a milestone, you know.
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
all of this is huge.
Right. I think it's one of those things where you're like, I hope we get there. Like, I hope it all works out, you know?
Right.
And I think I just hit a point, I think just as a content creator, like trying to, make it, I think I just hit a point where I'm just every new thing, every milestone, I'm just happy we've gotten this far. I think I have achieved all of my like soft goals that I think that I think I'm happy. Like I'm happy where we are. If we hit something else amazing, like I'm gonna like go wild, but I'm gonna take each milestone as a gift, if that makes sense. As far as the story, I kind of have to be honest and say I expected to be here, because I open up book 3 and I say nope, that we're in this temple dungeon, or no, we're here. But I would say I never expected the characters to look like this, if that makes sense. Like I expected to be in this location of the story, but I never expected Alec to be how Alec is. I never expected, man, I want to, spoil some things, but I can't. But I never expected environments and certain NPCs to be how they are when we first introduced them.
Right. Right. Yeah, I would say, the doing Brawl of Heroes live with all of us in a room, like, never would I think that I'd be in that room with those guys. I think it was just going to be remote always. I think an actual retreat where we were planning on like what's next. The amount of success we've had with one-shots, and I think the first time that I felt like my mind was absolutely blown was Tomb. And we did the Tomb of Ranka one-shot, and we raised like $1,500 or something. The first, and it was our first time. It was just awesome. I think there are, for the podcast as kind of like a quote, like organization is like way bigger than I think I ever thought it would get. But we were shooting for the stars really early on, and I think I fall in the same house as Chance. Is like we understand the process now. I think we understand that it is a process. That when we want to do a one shot for winter, we have to start talking about it early fall. Like what is that going to look like? We have to have meetings. Silas, me, Chance, Ronnie, and Jackson sit together on a Saturday and kind of talk about what it's going to look like. And just it takes time. And the slow, gradual increase of downloads per week, breaking those milestones, getting new fans, like you said, the Patreon kind of growing has been amazing. It takes time. But this story as a whole, I think it's better coming from Silas and I, this answer, because no freaking way, I went back and I when we were putting an ad together for Wizwiser, I went back and I listened to the first like 17 episodes of the show and looking for quotes about Wizwiser. And I was like, man, it's so different. Like Breach Hill just feels like a fairy tale land. And now there's so much like weight when we go back to Breach Hill. There's so much has happened, so much baggage in Breach Hill. It still feels good to be home, but it's like people look at us funny when we come back because there was this rumor about us. So like, can we get our dignity back, So I say no, not at all. And it's so cool to be here 100 episodes in the middle of a suspenseful time where there's a very big bad out there, and we don't have like a strict timeline, and also understanding our DM a little bit and how he just like throws a wrench in everything. So like never do I feel safe. Whereas at the beginning of the campaign, it was like nothing bad can happen to us, not if we're all together. This very like cutesy mentality of like we'll conquer everything. When it doesn't happen that way.
I just want to throw this out for the meme people. I don't know how to meme. I like the memes, but Baggage and Breach Hill sounds like an album. If someone can do that, that'd be really cool.
We got a head start for meme of the month. Baggage and Breach Hill.
It's meme of the week, Zach. I'm sorry, but you put it in text meme of the week.
Damn it.
We're gonna stick with it.
Meme of the week.
Meme of the week.
The pressure's on for me now.
We announce it monthly, but it is meme of the week.
It is meme of the week. We'll put it in the Discord weekly. I don't know. That's
Every month we'll have 4 memes of the weeks.
There you
One
go.
for each week of the month.
Yeah. Silas, what do you think?
Whoa.
I think story-wise, I honestly thought like I'm kind of surprised with all of the loose ends that are going on right now. In the story, just all of the different things that like could happen and have come up, and all of these like characters and all of the blah. And I thought, yeah, no, I didn't expect it to do that. Because I'll be real, I've DM'd a book or two in my day, and this one is kind of is balling pretty hard in the paint, if I do say so. There's just a lot going on,
right?
And, like I'm just really impressed.
Yeah.
So many characters, well, and I guess I also too I know a lot of that is Chance bringing them
right.
to life
I was
in
gonna
more ways
say
than they're written.
he's good. He's good at it.
So in general, whatever percentage Chance of whatever percentage book, I'm really liking how much just in general is going on, and it makes even like, because you mentioned like going back to Breach Hill, how there's weight, but also every time we go back to Breach Hill, it feels like there's like almost kind of like in a RPG kind of video game, like you go and you off and you do the thing and you beat the boss and you come back and you're like, oh, I've unlocked all of these new lines of dialogue with all the NPCs. I gotta go talk to everybody.
I'm gonna go
Because
fishing.
now, I gotta go fishing, and maybe there's gonna be a new fish in the river
Fish
because
mechanic.
Yeah.
I opened the dam when I fought the bite. Like it's just like every time, everything we do feels like it changes stuff,
Right.
and makes
Right.
everything kind of new again. It feels very, very robust, I guess, if you want to use that word.
You guys have definitely left a mark on Breach Hill, like already. You know, like
Yeah, which feels good
Breach
too.
Hill will never be the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which like, I can't wait in 20 years whenever a new set of adventures come in. You know.
Right.
After
Yeah.
the heroes of old, and I don't know.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, we've
for sure.
toppled the statue of Landon Breach and put ourselves up
And
there.
Greta's
What-
6
what's
feet under
wrong?
because she's running the whole show.
What's wrong with Lambda Breachton? What did he do?
I don't know. It's just a speculation.
No. And then as far as like the other side of it, man, the number that gets me the most excited is just like those like weekly downloads, and sometimes I'll go and I'll look at the our like dashboard that has all those stats on it and be like, wait, what? Wait, how many people?
Right.
And I look at that, and it's just to watch that number go up has been so crazy, and to watch the Discord pop off all the time is so awesome, and just the interaction with everyone I think is really cool. So I was not expecting, I was not expecting so much, I guess, like involvement. Like it feels, I don't know, like everybody likes each other, and it's great. I love it. I'm happy to be here.
I mean, you guys created an engaging story. I think, I mean, you know, Chance and I have talked before, just like as someone who like, I went to film school, you know, Chance is like a filmmaker in and of himself, and so that like intimate level of storytelling, and then also just like being humans outside of the story too, and being good people, like you guys I use the word intimacy a lot, but it's a very intimate like build where you guys like put yourselves out there as humans and also put the story out there, and it's great, first of all, but also like the fact that you all are putting yourselves behind and like actively like showing your, like, you know, it's really cool. I mean, of course, like I had no motivation to join this besides, you know, my boyfriend, and then I mean, like I've become friends with like that's how I met Malia and Allie,
Right.
and so all the, and Wes, and talking about like, you guys created an environment of good, and that you should give yourselves credit for that, and you also tell very engaging stories, so give yourself credit, gosh darn it.
Well, shucks.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you,
the truth.
Lisa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Discord's been amazing. You know, I think it's been very cool to see the involvement. This is just another like a chanceism, like, hey man, I think we should really invest in the Discord. Nobody cares about Discord, dude. Nobody's gonna be dancing around the Discord. This is like the third time I've done this. Like, since we've started this is like, hey, he'll pitch an idea. I'm like, I think that's dog shit idea. It just turns out to be like the best thing we've done.
What is that voice? Is that your voice?
That's
Chance?
my. No, I'm saying that's me, like kicking back to Chance.
Oh,
Like, I think that's a
okay.
stupid idea. Like, Chance is the one who like is like, hey, I think we should do this, and I'm always like, nah, that's dumb.
Zach, the disapproving father.
Right,
That's what
exactly.
this
I don't think we
is.
should do that.
I think it's fun.
It's great.
Gosh.
It's really good. It's been amazing, and it's been a huge tool. Because I think we thought it was going to be like Twitter or Instagram, you know, for engagement. And it turned out it's just literally having channels for us to talk about anime and personal struggle and all those things. So all those things.
And
So-
Harry Styles.
And Harry Styles.
Harry
Can't forget the
Styles.
best
And Harry
channel
Styles.
in the
Yeah,
Discord.
yeah.
So I'll ask again.
Yeah.
Besides the Claire Temple, but we don't have to talk about that.
Right, yeah.
Right, 100%.
100%.
I will say, plug, we have movie night this week. Movie night is now
We
free.
do!
It's
all.
free!
We are watching Die Hard.
The best Christmas movie.
movie.
So jump in the
so
Discord.
yeah.
Let's do it. Can you
Sweet.
plug another,
Yeah.
can you, exclamation point Discord. Join us. Join us.
Wait, what?
Thank
Okay.
you. In the Discord. There it goes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Oh, that is, I mean, way more time than we have for today. We are a bit over, but it was awesome. It was very worth it. This turned out to be just an awesome evening. Very good questions. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us. It is awesome to have you. It's awesome to have a supporter like you. Lisa has been a patron for a very long time. Has been a listener for even longer. So thank you for coming on and giving us just great questions to chew on. Last things last. I'm trying to think if there's. I guess we'll just do announcements real quick once again. Pint Glass is available in the store now. BasicallyGoodPodcast.com/shop. And if you'd like to support us outside of just joining the Discord, chatting away with us, the best way to do that is on Patreon. Patreon.com/BasicallyGoodPodcast. That is all the time I have for today. Please enjoy this week's episode of the Basically Good Podcast. It's just habit at this point. But thank you again, Lisa. I don't want to gloss over that again. It's huge to have you. Huge to have a supporter like you on the show. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you all for coming out this evening. Those in the chat, viewers, again, it's great to hear from you all. Deo Dunga, Malia, great to have you guys with us this evening. The many other friends we have as well. That is all the time we have. Have a good week.
Merry
Take care.
Christmas.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Goodbye, everyone.